It's August the 5th and currently outside it is freezing cold and pissing it down, and it all feels a bit miserable. And what a perfect way to sum up that first game of the season. Hello everybody and welcome back to the first Oxford United review of the new season. The 23-24 season started with Oxford away from home again. We're never at home on the first day of the season. We're away at Cambridge United. Yikes, where do we start with this one? Last season, I was throwing around words like disjointed and lack of cutting edge and passing for passing's sake and not looking threatening. We were told things were going to be different. They may well be, but they weren't looking like that today. It was a sorry game for Oxford United. It ends in defeat. Not a happy hunting ground last year. Not a happy hunting ground this year. It ended Cambridge United 2, Oxford United 0. And before we go any further, congratulations to Cambridge United. If there's any Cambridge fans watching this one, thoroughly deserved victory. Just did everything better than Oxford today, other than passing the ball around in a little triangle. You completely were more clinical than Oxford, obviously. More desire, more fight, more intent to defend and attack, and a very well-earned victory for Mark Bonner's men. But we will get into all of that. We'll go over some team news. We'll go over the game. We'll do player ratings, and I'll give my final thoughts. The timestamps down below, so you can jump to any part of the video that you like. But if you do, the very least you can do is hit that like button and hit subscribe on the video if you do like the content. I'm on the march to 1,000 subs. You can help me get there, and on miserable days like this, I need all the help I can get. Oxford haven't won on the opening day since the Pep Clotet days. Yikes, they seem a long time ago, don't they? I was a much younger, less grey bearded man back then. Things were going to be different, is what they said. Under Manning, well, we haven't seen it yet. But Oxford United started the season with a 4-3-3 formation. Same side that beat QPR 5-0 very convincingly on the final day of pre-season. There were debuts in there for Harris, McEachran, Rodriguez and Beagle, and Mills and Stevens were on the bench who did come on and make their debuts in this game as well. Cambridge played a 4-2-3-1 system. Jack Stevens obviously in goal for them, and also new signing Danny Andrews starts in defence. Ahadme starts up front, and a lot of the other new signings like Kai and Kachunga were on the bench. Look, it's a Cambridge side that have lost a lot of their key players, most notably Sam Smith, Ironside and Harvey Nibbs. So Oxford really came into this game, and this sounds silly to say, but we came into this game with a lot of optimism and a lot of enthusiasm that we would roll over this Cambridge United side, and it absolutely was not the case. And in fact, Cambridge looked like the side that had a well-drilled, well-organised pre-season, and Oxford looked like the side who have come off the back of a very disjointed pre-season, really, from what we saw. There were mistakes, and Oxford was sloppy right the way through the game. Second minute in, Jordan Thornley gave the ball away, and Cambridge were able to break in on goal, and Thornley was forced to do a really nasty, bad foul on the edge of the box, which gave Cambridge an early chance. Luckily, they didn't come to anything. But until that first goal went in for Cambridge, Oxford weren't that bad and played okay, and probably the brightest sparks came from Marcus Brown on the left hand side. He got the ball and absolutely skinned Liam Bennett down the left hand side, got to the byline, but it only resulted in a corner, and you were just hoping Oxford would get the ball to Brown more often, but they really failed to do that. But Brown did draw a foul on the 11th minute, which got an early yellow card for Cambridge, and Brannigan's free kick was hit over the bar. But it was not long after that Cambridge opened the scoring, and again, whilst this was a good move from Cambridge, it came from Oxford United making a mistake. It was Kieran Brown, player of the season last season. I thought he had a poor game today. Gives the ball away to Brophy on the halfway line. Brophy's able to play Jana, who's able to drive right to the edge of the box. It hits a powerful drive at Beadle, and I mean, Beadle's not done a very good job here. I'm not going to give him too much of a hard time. He's a young guy in goal, first contribution that he's had to make to the game, and unfortunately he's just parried it back into a, rather than parrying it away, he's parried it back into a dangerous area. It was a well hit shot, but he should be doing better with it. It comes straight back into the middle of the goal. Lancaster is there, and Lancaster can just tuck it away from close range. Poor all around from Oxford, tidy from Cambridge. They take the lead 1-0. Really, you entered into a period of play here where Oxford were completely just knocked out of their stride, and they couldn't get anything going. Everything very slow, everything very ponderous, just passing the ball around in the midfield or in the defence, and Cambridge were able to just sit and pick Oxford off, really. And 28 minutes on the clock, they got their second goal, and it was a really well worked goal from Cambridge's point of view. Oxford overcommitting, and Cambridge just moved it around us and moved it up the pitch and scored, as I said, a really nice well worked team goal. Moving the ball down the left hand side this time, Sam Long overcommits, and they were able to get the ball to Jana, who again breaks brilliantly down the left hand side this time. Cross into the box, quality cross into Ahadme. He's too strong for Kieran Brown, gets his header on the ball from close range. Beadle maybe could have come for it. I think defensively you've got to be able to deal with that better. And Cambridge 2-0 up. Oxford all over the place. We saw very little of Harris and Rodriguez and Goodrum and players like that. And maybe just towards the end of the first half you saw a few flickers of light from this Oxford United forward line. Won a free kick on the edge of the box, and it was actually a nice found Brannigan on the edge of the box, and it was the first shot on target, and Brannigan did force Stevens into a good save. Brannigan probably came the closest to scoring today. It was not really much of a surprise there. But as I said, yeah, first half ended, and very few positives for Oxford United. These were some of the things I worried about under Manning. Is yes, I think we did look good when we pressed sides, but we saw very little of that. You did see it a few times, to be fair, but nothing really came from Oxford's press. But when we did have possession, and when Cambridge sat off us and were able to sit in their shape, you saw Oxford really struggle to play through the thirds, and it all just became about passing for passing's sake. And I was really worried that that would be the case in the early parts of the season, and there were some things in pre-season where I saw Oxford do that, and it worried me a little bit. And the only time they really looked for out balls were long raking balls out wide, which are not really where you're going to get the strengths out of Goodrum or Harris and things like that. So I think definitely things to work on, and definitely you're hoping for a much improved second half. But really, it was Cambridge who came back and started the second half, the better side, causing Oxford problems. Every time they went forward, they just played with more intent and more purpose, and caused Oxford so many problems. There was a couple of good crosses from Brophy, which no one could get on the end of the first one. Jana did get his header on the second one, but it was just soft and straight and easy for Beadle to save. Lancaster then had a stinging effort from about 25 yards out, but it was straight at Beadle, and he was able to make a comfortable save. Oxford did start to get going a little bit. Oxford made some substitutions that were much needed, I must say. You saw the likes of Marcus McGuane, you saw the likes of Mills, you saw Odonka come on, you saw Bowden come on, and it did make Oxford play with a little bit more adventure, but we needed so much more at 2-0 down. Brannigan did hit a good effort just wide. Again, he did come the closest to scoring today. And then Stan Mills, actually I thought he played quite well when he came on, but a second phase from a corner, he smashed the ball over the bar. But then Oxford's best chance, and it was Mills. You did see Rodriguez get into the game a bit more in that second half, and he produced a really good ball over the top, and Mills got there ahead of Stevens, and he thought he would score, but Stevens did come out and make a good save to keep it 2-0. But Oxford never really looked like getting ahead of steam and creating sustained pressure. And although Cambridge sat deep, they were able to sit deep quite comfortably and see this game out. And Oxford just never really got in their groove in this game. It's a very frustrating afternoon, and I'm sure there's a lot of frustrated Oxford fans out there. Cambridge had the last effort of the game. It was Kai who was able to come. He came off the bench and he broke forward, shook off Sam Long far too easily. Good effort from the edge of the box, better than Oxford shooting all day today. But Beadle did make a good save at the end there to give him some credit. Sort of chance you've seen Simon Eastwood concede, but it all ended very poorly from Oxford United's point of view. Couldn't even get a goal today, and Cambridge ran out deserved winners. I've already talked about the strengths of Mark Bonner's side, but mainly the organisation and the desire to win second balls were just there throughout. You had Digby and Thomas who just were great screen in front of the back four and gave away nothing. And I thought Jenner in particular was a real live wire up front, and I thought Elliot Moore and Jordan Thornley really struggled with Ahadme up front. He had a really good debut for Cambridge in there today. So we move on to player ratings, and these aren't going to be particularly good from an Oxford United point of view. We start in goal with James Beadle making his debut. Look, I'm going to give James Beadle a 6. He made a poor first contribution with the goal. He should have done a lot better with the first goal, but I thought overall he was tidy, caught a few catches under pressure quite well, and made some decent saves in the second half. I'm giving him a 6. Sam Long gets a 4. I thought he was poor today. I thought, you know, they were able to break and get down that left hand side, both flanks really today, and he didn't really offer anything going forward. Poor display from Longy. 4 out of 10. Kieran Brown likewise, 4 out of 10. Really struggled today. I thought no one really didn't offer anything going forward. Thought a lot of his passing was suspect, and just a poor game overall. Jordan Thornley, same again, 4. They struggled with Ahadme up front. They struggled with Cambridge's pace and their power, really. And difficult afternoon for Thornley. Didn't look great for the second goal either. And I thought Elliot Moore really struggled with Ahadme too. Niggly fouls on him all afternoon. Not lucky to not give away more fouls, but he was able to hold the ball up quite easily against Elliot Moore and really outmuscled him. Poor afternoon for Oxford United's back line. But Josh McEachran making his Oxford United debut, you can only give him a 5. Did he make any key passes or anything like that? 90% of his passes are all sideways and backwards. And he's not a guy that's ever going to play 90 minutes. So at this point, need to see a lot more from him. Brannigan gets a 6, just gets a little bit more. Again, it wasn't a great game for Brannigan, but at least he had that intent to try and make something happen and came the closest to scoring. Rodriguez on his debut, I'm going to give him a 6 as well. Largely anonymous in the first half, but did start to look decent in the second half with a couple of good runs and a couple of good balls played in behind, but we need to see a lot more from him. Marcus Brown gets a 6 as well. He was probably Oxford's most liveliest outlet in the first half, but we really failed to give him the ball, and he got frustrated in the second half, and it was not surprising to see him come off. Tyler Goodrum gets a 5. You can't fault his work rate, but he didn't really give him the ball. And what is he supposed to do if Oxford don't ever give him the ball, so he can't actually try and take people on and make something happen? So he was largely anonymous in this game. He gets a 5 out of 10. Mark Harris gets a 5 as well. Not a great debut for Harris. There was one little move where he nearly got in behind, but he was flagged offside, but he didn't really offer too much. But again, no service really into him today. Marcus McGuane gets a 5 when he came on. He didn't really offer anything when he came on. There was no drive or snap in his play from midfield. It was all just the same sideways passing. But Mills gets a 6. I thought he did look quite good when he came on. Looked pretty nippy, pretty quick. Looks like he's got a decent shot on him as well. And he really should have scored, but at least he got in there to get on the chance. Gatlin O'Donker gets a 5. He didn't really do much when he came on, and neither did Billy Bowden. He gets a 5 after. Billy Bowden, when a cross came in, he just let the ball hit him rather than having a shot at goal, which kind of irritated me a little bit. Finn Stevens came on as well, but too late to grade. And that leaves me with Liam Manning getting a grade. And you can only give Liam Manning, I can only give him a 4 on this one. Maybe I could even give him lower, because it was an Oxford side that really didn't play with much energy and much purpose, and I don't think those substitutions came on and really added too much as well. We didn't really try and change it tactically. As they said on radio commentary, it was just a case of plan A isn't working, let's do plan A better, which I kind of get. You can't just abandon the style of play after 70 minutes or after 45 minutes of a game, one game a season, but I think there's a lot of work that's got to go into this Oxford United side still. And you could even say there's still work to do in the window. So that brings me to my final thoughts. And a new season, but very much same Oxford from last year in many ways. Just a very disjointed performance, a very listless performance, and a very lacklustre performance from Oxford United. We need to see so much more, both in the League Cup and in the first home game of the season against Carlisle. We want to see more speed of passing, more pace, more movement, and Oxford United just doing a bit more than just taking 10 passes to get the ball over the halfway line, only to go back to the goalkeeper or the centre-backs. It's a work in progress, and it was never going to be perfect on day one, but I think if the pre-season got our hopes up a little bit too much. Once again, congratulations to Cambridge. You showed all the heart, fight and quality in this game, and Oxford United showed very little. Yikes. Not what we wanted, but we have to hope that it does improve in the next game. Let me know your thoughts down below, Oxford United fans, and let me know your thoughts, Cambridge United fans, as well. I was quite derogatory of your team in my pre-season predictions video, but let me know your thoughts on how you think you're going to go this season. Oxford fans, I'm going to have a lot of Oxford fans tearing in to the side, and quite rightly so. Let me know your thoughts on it, and let me know how we can improve and get better for the next game. Shall I sing things can only get better? No, you don't want to hear that. Hit like if you liked it, and hit subscribe on the video. That helps me out a lot. But thanks for watching. Any minute of the video, I do appreciate it, and I'll be back to do another review, hopefully of an Oxford win, very soon.